Recruiters are masters of breaking hearts. Welcome! My name is Pedro Porto. I have been working in HR for the past 10 years, and I have created this channel to help you to bring your work, your career, your team to the very next level. This week, we are going to talk about how to overcome rejections when you are applying for jobs. And why it sucks so much? Well, besides the fact that nobody likes to be rejected, the other aspect is that more often than not, the amount of work that you put in on a job application is disproportionate for the result you get. It's not unusual to spend from a few minutes to a couple of hours to fully trick out your CV, your application, make it very targeted. And then from the other side, the recruiter, well, it only takes 30 seconds, max 1 minute to figure it out if your CV is go or no go to the next phase. So obviously, looking at that, it feels unfair, right? It feels that it's not worth it. There are different ways to deal with the rejection, and that also depends on what phase of the recruitment process you are. If you are rejected already in the CV phase, don't worry too much about it. That is by far the biggest filter that anyone needs to go through, so it is not unusual to do a lot of job applications before you get a first interview. It's also a good opportunity for you to reflect if you're keeping getting rejections, if you are applying for the right job. The way to figure it out if you're knocking on the wrong door is when you look at the job application and you see all the tasks and requirements, if you can feel, let's say, 85%, 80% of the job description, you have a good shot of going ahead with the application. Of course, there are other candidates that can fill 100% of the tasks, they will be prioritized. But don't think about that. You cannot control your competition. You can only control your own behavior. If you're still being rejected for jobs that you can absolutely nail it, then most likely the cause is on the formatting of your CV. There is no such thing as a perfect CV. You can always make it better. Always. I've been working in HR for 10 years, and even my CV, I still make it better and better and better every time that I need to apply for a position. So let's say that you passed the CV phase and then you now went to the assessment phase. Well, that's pretty straightforward. If there is an assessment that you need to do and you didn't pass, then you didn't pass. I mean, it's very straightforward, right? It is a black and white situation. Either you pass the assessment or you don't pass the assessment. Simple. This one is simple. After the assessment phase, you will go for a first interview, which is usually with someone from HR. Realize this, recruiters inside their organization need to do a wide spectrum of jobs. They talk with a wide spectrum of people, meaning that we are not experts on each one of the fields that we are recruiting for. And before you say, well, doesn't that make the recruiter useless? No, it doesn't actually. Because for the first interview, normally what the recruiter is looking is about the behavioral competencies of the position and about the cultural fit. Of course, if they have spoken with the hiring manager, they have somewhat of a good idea of our technical skills. But the first interview with HR is normally about behavioral competencies and cultural fit. These are the things that the recruiters are really good at spotting. If you're being rejected on this phase, it means that there was not necessarily a good overlap between what you're offering and what the company is looking from behavior/cultural aspect. And this is very important. As we have discussed it, to build an aligned team, you need to have some binding. You need to have something that glues everyone together. And the culture, it is key to make that work. So don't throw it away. Don't say that it doesn't matter. Culture is very important inside any organization. Being rejected by HR feels very personal. And I understand that because in a sense it is. The recruiter is trying to measure if you will fit in with the rest of the organization. So it's about, are you a dynamic person? Are you extrovert? Are you introvert? Do you enjoy fast-paced environments? Do you enjoy a more stable job? Do you prioritize a lot work-life balance? Do you prioritize your work? All these things, they are quite personal, and there's not much you can change about that. So don't stress out too much about that part because you cannot control it, right? If you're enjoying this content, why not subscribe to the channel? It would mean a lot to me, and in that way you never miss out when a new video comes live. Thank you! The next phase is a conversation with the hiring manager, and that person is an expert on the same craft that you are applying for. If you went to that phase, you already passed the cultural aspect and the behavioral aspect. Now it's time to shine your technical skills. You need to demonstrate that you have the knowledge and the capability to apply that knowledge to that specific field. So the conversation will be much more technical than they were in the first one. If you are rejected on a technical interview with the hiring manager, there are absolutely things that you can do to improve your chances for the future, because those are the things very much within your control. You can learn a new programming language, for example. You can practice certain projects. Those technical skills are much more within your reach than, for example, getting a feedback from HR for your first interview, talking about being comfortable in fast-paced environments. That's very hard to change. While, for example, improving your Excel skills, that's very much more within your reach. That leads into the next topic, which is feedback. A lot of candidates want specific feedbacks of their application. Doesn't matter which phase. While ideally the recruiter would take the time to answer each one of the candidates, the reality is that we need to be very conscious and do a mea culpa here, that we simply can't. There is not enough time in the world to do feedback for everybody that apply. And then what ends up happening is that the candidate gets an automatic message saying that thank you for your interest, but no thanks. Which sounds very shallow, right? It sounds very hollow. After so many interviews of all this effort, you just get an automatic message. It sounds 100% unfair, right? Which is true, it is unfair. It is an unbalanced power distribution. You are absolutely correct. From the other side, I must say that a lot of candidates are not good at receiving feedback. The truth is that in our society, we don't practice receiving criticism. We take it very personally, especially on the professional life, which doesn't make the recruiter job any easier. Why go to all the trouble to giving feedback if more often than not, the candidate will react badly? It will backfire on the recruiter's face and the candidate will be even more, unhappy. In the end, as a candidate, you should only focus on the things that you can control. Control the format of your CV. Research about the company culture. Ask for technical feedback. Those things are very much within your control. And if it still doesn't work, doesn't matter. There's still a lot of other opportunities out there, and I'm sure that you'll find your place. In any case, that's what I have for this week. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Pedro out.